Now on Chronicle.
I love this town. It's beautiful. It's clean.
Greenville has become not only a popular tourist destination,
and everyone always talks about it, like the cute downtown areas.
but it's now where more and more people
it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better. So come on out now while you can.
are calling home each day.
It's a great place to live, to work, to play.
City and county leaders are navigating the challenges.
Like traffic is a little bit
People get frustrated about the traffic.
annoying.
that come with a thriving community
Holy smokes, we're running out of room.
and making plans for responsible growth.
We're all about quality of life, how we can balance our growth, maintain good quality of life.
Now on Chronicle, Growing Greenville.
Good evening and welcome to Chronicle. I'm Jane Robelo. Greenville County is one of the most beautiful in South Carolina. It's also the most populous and growing at a rate of almost 2% each year. One example is this 7-story building where I'm standing now, the brand new headquarters for United Community, a $65 million investment and the latest addition to downtown Greenville's ever-changing skyline. In this Chronicle, we explore the triumphs of a growing Greenville and also the challenges. Nigel Robertson begins with how Greenville got to this point, sitting down with the woman who quite literally wrote the book on it.
Every year,
Because the people are just so nice here.
every month,
We think it's a beautiful city, beautiful town.
every day,
I love this town. It's beautiful. It's clean.
Greenville just keeps growing.
Greenville itself, like downtown, has grown so much.
The skyline,
It's just a very comfortable city.
one where its 2-lane Main Street highlights the trees and green spaces.
People are always so sweet.
And everyone always talks about it, like the cute downtown areas.
And of course, you guys have some great coffee.
I was like, I could live here, I think.
And then there's the falls. One could say it's the centerpiece of the city itself.
Seeing like articles about how Greenville is like one of the best cities in the U.S., I think it's true. And I think that we have a lot of growth.
But exactly how did this city become the way it is today? Well, that story has been spelled out on this keyboard, one letter at a time.
You can't understand a city unless you understand its past.
Judy Bainbridge would know.
I have a drive to tell stories.
She has written many books on Greenville's story, so she took us back.
It took leadership, a lot of luck, and a whole bundle of cash.
Way back.
The downtown Greenville was a thriving place in the 50s and early 60s.
Greenville certainly is growing. We're bursting at the seams.
Downtown then looked nothing like it does today. Main Street was 4 lanes, concrete covered every corner, and textile mills were everything.
And then, slowly, very slowly, 1959, Camperdown Mill closes. It's not until about 75, 76 that Mills Mill closes.
The way of life for this city quickly left.
It was really quite awful. When I moved here in 1976, I thought it was the ugliest downtown I'd ever seen. But there were people from the 50s onward who really wanted to change and who committed themselves to change.
In the 1970s and 80s, Tommy Weich, an influential attorney, she credits with preserving nature.
Back in the early 50s, it was nothing but textile.
Adding green spaces, park benches, sidewalks, and turning Main Street into what we know today.
Thank you for allowing our committee.
Buck Mickle, a successful business executive who had the power and the money to bring in the Hyatt Regency, raise money for the Peace Center, and backed the Governor's School, just to name a few.
Both Trudy and I love Greenville.
All of it under the leadership of former Greenville Mayor Max Heller, who's credited with leading the renaissance that created the Greenville we see today.
And that was serendipity, Nigel. I mean, the very fact that they were at the right time in the right place.
And what was the textile capital of the world soon embraced high tech and the start of an international automotive movement.
The timing was absolutely perfect because first you have GE. They announced that GE would come here in '67. By the early 70s, they are employing more than 1,000 people. In the early 70s, Michelin comes to Greenville, and the amount of investment, it's just been immense.
People once again had money in their pockets. There was land, lots of it. The Greenville-Spartanburg International Airport gave people here access to the world, and the world access to this reborn city. With its popular Swamp Rabbit Trail winding through its now, once again, thriving downtown, led by longtime Mayor Knox White.
But people are really neat to talk to.
But back in Judy's living room, I was surprised when I asked if there was one thing that she believes really led to the growth of Greenville. Her answer, water.
That, in many ways, is the symbol of Greenville.
It was the water, after all.
Now we reclaim the river, which was ignored for so long, and now the river is our major asset. So all of this is a part of attention to quality of life.
Some of the cleanest in the world that powered the textile mills of the past and still moves this city today.
As one of the fastest growing counties in the fastest growing state in the country, a big challenge now is how to provide a wide range of housing options. Gabrielle Komorowski explores what the massive growth means for the people who live here and for the people who want to live here.
To list why Greenville keeps making so many lists, ask the locals.
It's great. It's very kid-friendly. That's why we love it.
The city of Greenville has been named one of the best small cities in the country to raise a family.
The area is great. Lots of stuff to do for the kids.
Condé Nast Traveler calls Greenville a must-see.
Downtown Greenville is a very, very pretty place. You know, you get to see all the lights at night.
Even this park has landed on a list. Unity Park was ranked one of the nicest places in America by Reader's Digest.
Yeah, we come here every day. Every day, yeah.
Southern Living calls Greenville one of the South's best places to retire.
We're all about quality of life, how we can balance our growth, maintain good quality of life. It's never been more important than it is today. It's never been harder than it is today.
Data from the city of Greenville shows the city gained around 6 new households every week from 2000 to 2020.
We have hundreds of thousands of people who come to visit here. They see what our city is like, they see our great weather, and they want that to be their permanent reality. This is what people want when they
As the owner of Encore Realty and the broker in charge, Angela Rodriguez hears the wish lists.
I think most people start with they want to live as close to downtown Greenville as they possibly can.
But living in downtown Greenville is expensive.
It's pricey. We have some neighborhoods that sell for over $700 a square foot. That's a lot of money. And that price goes up every year, and that price will go up this year.
Angela says there are more buyers than sellers. People who can't find the right home or price in the city of Greenville might expand their search to other areas of the county.
Fountain Inn is about to see the benefits of that. You are starting to see downtown Greer really transform.
Greenville County's population is exploding. Data shows 34 people move to Greenville County every day.
A lot of the new places that they're building are very expensive nowadays, and low-income people can't afford those places.
As more people have moved in to our community, their incomes have been higher, and so that median income is going up, and what that does to the housing market is it makes the cost escalate. And so people are being priced out of the markets.
The Greenville Housing Fund builds and preserves affordable housing using local, state, and federal resources.
If you have wage earners who are earning an hourly wage, those are the folks in our community that are facing the greatest challenges in terms of finding a high-quality, affordable place to live.
2, 3.
President and CEO Brian Brown says the nonprofit has invested in over 1,500 units of affordable housing in Greenville County since 2018, and almost 1,000 more are planned. Crews are working on 88 units that will be called the Riley at Overbrook off Interstate 385 on Lowndes Hill Road.
We try to prioritize locations that are proximate to grocery stores, services, education. If we're pushing people out, we're creating traffic burdens and congestion and infrastructure challenges.
He says the Greenville Housing Fund works to change what he calls a stigma about affordable housing.
Affordable housing is sustainable over time. It's well maintained. It should be a contribution to any neighborhood it sits in. If we can look at housing anywhere, apartments, single family, whatever, and say, oh, that's affordable, then we're doing it wrong.
Greenville County created a property tax incentive in 2022, encouraging project developers to offer reduced rents.
It goes back to affordable housing. We want people to be able to afford to save up money and buy a house. We don't want people to have to be stuck in a rental for their whole life unless that suits their needs.
Greenville County's population is projected to grow by almost 42% by 2040. Brian Brown says housing for all helps Greenville now and in the future.
Having attainable housing for all of our workforce puts us at a competitive advantage and keeps us there.
So everyone can continue to list how special this area is.
Open space and access to transportation have also been identified by the county's Housing Citizen Committee as goals to incorporate into housing developments as the county continues to grow.
Still to come on Chronicle.
It takes you a really long time to turn left at major intersections.
As the population grows, so does the traffic.
It's a challenge.
From neighborhood streets to interstates, leaders are facing some roadblocks when it comes to ensuring a smooth ride for everyone.
Wherever people live, from the heart of downtown to this area right around Cherrydale or in the foothills of the Blue Ridge like Marietta. The one thing that connects everyone in Greenville County, quite literally, is the roads. Stephanie Trotter looks at how the rapid growth is challenging people's ability to get from home to work, school, and play.
Greenville County's journey towards safe and efficient travel.
For congestion, I avoid everything.
Is rerouting after a 30-year detour.
Yeah, bad.
Of minimum funding and maximum use. Greenville County contains more roads than any other in the state. Enough to travel to the Grand Canyon and back. Local roads are also the deadliest in South Carolina, with 399 people dying on them in recent years.
The number of roads in fair and poor condition is already 60% of our inventory, but not being able to address that over time has just made that pothole even bigger.
County Council Vice Chair Liz Seaman heads the committee overseeing roads. Every day, local drivers cruise a tangled network of rural byways to major interstates, each maintained by different levels of government. For the first time, cities, county, and state have come together to create a master fix-it list. The estimated cost? $2 billion.
One thing that we let people know is that South Carolina has the 4th largest state-maintained highway system in the nation.
Construction has picked up in recent years after a new gas tax kick-started projects to pave the way out of 3 decades of wear and tear and build new infrastructure. But repairs are running on fumes.
On average, the state invests about $50 million just in pavement improvements in Greenville County.
With rising costs, leaders estimate that money paves about 71 miles. Yet 2,500 need fixed.
Another presentation.
County Council is moving toward putting a penny sales tax before voters.
If we are going to tackle this problem, this is absolutely the most rational pathway for Greenville County.
Voters denied such a tax a decade ago. Of the 75 projects that money would have fixed, none have gotten done. Repairs have only grown bigger and more expensive.
And the other counties in our state have figured out a way to have a dedicated funding source to address their road problems. And it's time for us to do the same. We really need to get a strategy behind how we're going to address these horrible problems.
Congestion is one of the problems, and county leaders say we can't pave our way out of that. The solution will have to include public transportation.
Can I get 2 tickets, please? Thank you.
But rides on Greenlink buses have dropped to half of what they were in 1994. The system runs Monday through Saturday, picking up passengers every hour.
When you talk to people riding the bus, it's there every day. I mean, it's kind of the lifeblood that connects them with everything else that goes on in our community.
ICAR student Atura Bondi takes the bus daily. An extra 2 minutes in class costs him an extra hour waiting on the bus.
We need to increase the frequency more. Maybe half an hour should be the frequency.
Greenlink advocate Aaron Predmore finds long wait times and poor coverage prevent people from riding.
In the last 30 years, Greenville County has more than doubled in their urbanized area, which is like the dense area where we all live. Greenlink has not grown at all during that time. It's not expanded.
Greenlink director James Keel says a lack of dedicated funding puts the brakes on growth.
So if you look at our peer cities in South Carolina, Columbia, Charleston, they have a taxing source that ultimately pays for them, and because they've been forward-minded and think about the growth and see the value in transit and how it can help their community grow.
A 10-year growth plan is in place if Greenlink can get the money.
At the rate we're growing, and if we gain another 200,000 people by 2035, by 2040, it's really unclear as to how much our infrastructure is actually going to be able to deal with and handle that kind of growth.
A possible roadblock, slowing everyone in traffic with no alternate route in sight.
County leaders say that managing traffic density is a constantly evolving situation, and the county and even the municipalities within it simply don't have the elasticity in their budgets to make major road capacity improvements.
Next on Chronicle.
It's been an amazing journey. I'm so excited to see what the future holds for Fountain Inn.
And for the rest of Greenville County schools as well. A look at how the district prepares to welcome hundreds of new students each year.
The Greenville County School District is the largest in South Carolina, and it ranks among the top 50 in the nation. Sydney Shadrick shows us how the district is planning for continued growth in the years to come.
Freshman year, I felt like I knew everybody.
When Elena Myrtle started her freshman year at Fountain Inn High School, her class was the first and the only in the building.
And now it's like we've grown so much, I feel like I see new people every single day.
That's because 3 years ago, Fountain Inn High School was a brand new school, an answer to increased growth in the southern part of Greenville County.
We did have a plan for growth. We came in one grade level at a time.
Additions to the school were included in the original blueprint to accommodate students as the school and the area grew.
We did not realize, I think, how much it was going to grow until we started coming in as a school.
But now the school is once again under construction, earlier than originally expected.
We've advanced that by almost 4 years because of the rapid growth in the Fountain Inn area.
And Fountain Inn High School isn't the only project underway.
We currently have 7 additions underway, and all but 2 of those are south of the center point of the county.
Greenville County School Superintendent Dr. Brooke Royster says the district has seen a constant pattern of growth since he came to work for the district in 2005.
The growth most years is between 800 and 1,000 students.
And with the constant growth comes constant monitoring of what's next.
And continually are looking at what are immediate patterns.
Led in part by a planning and demographics team.
What appear to be long-term, how many subdivisions have been approved, how many lots do they have remaining to be built upon, how quickly are they building out in that subdivision.
And with that growth also comes challenges.
That's the biggest, most immediate challenge is attracting and retaining enough quality personnel each year and paying for those people.
A challenge Principal Maureen Tiller at Fountain Inn experiences every year as the school adds another class.
I've hired 30 plus staff members every year since we've been open.
But Royster says he'd rather face the challenges of growth than the opposite.
To us, there's always a financial impact to our bottom line with growth. But we do not want to be in a situation where we're addressing a declining population.
In May of 2025, Myrtle will be among the first graduating class at Fountain Inn High.
It's been really interesting because we've been able to change and adapt so easily.
And by the time August of that year rolls around, the school will look completely different, with the new addition expected to be complete. But what will remain the same?
Your child can receive a great education here.
Is the district's commitment to its students.
Opportunities that they cannot get anywhere else in our region.
Greenville County also boasts a strong technical school system with recent investment in a center for innovation. Leaders say that workforce training is attractive to manufacturers, and it also contributes to local citizens being able to get higher wage jobs without having to have a four-year college degree.
A growing community means a greater need for health care.
There's just a lot of need, a lot of patients.
Are we going to stop taking patients, or are we going to make more room?
Ahead on Chronicle, the priorities in place for healthcare providers as the numbers of patients, staff, and facilities grow.
A growing Greenville means some of the same medical issues facing the rest of the country are top priorities here too, including a shortage of key workers. But as Carol Clark found, Greenville's popular reputation just may be an asset when it comes to getting you the care you need.
My old friend, how are you doing?
So good.
See you too.
Almost 20 years ago, Parkside Pediatrics opened in Greenville County.
There was 2 of us the first year and 3 the second.
Then as patients kept coming, we did have to get strategic and say, how do we want to grow?
Strategy is important because this practice is now part of a group whose growth has taken off the same way growth in Greenville has taken off. The group now has 100 doctors and 800 support people.
Yay. And includes women's services and primary care under the name Tribe 513.
There is not enough primary care physicians.
But Matt Caldwell, president of St. Francis, says the Greenville Top 10 list reputation actually helps recruiting.
So a lot of the recruits that come in think, wow, we're very close to the mountains, we're not far from the beach, it's beautiful.
Prisma Health COO Clarence Civilian agrees. He says Prisma's education arm helps too. It has hundreds of resident physicians training in the upstate.
50% of those residents, they want to stay in South Carolina.
One sector used to help handle growth, urgent care centers. St. Francis, for example, operated 8 in 2019. Today, the system runs 15 with 3 more soon to open. Prisma has 8 in the upstate, 4 of them new, with 5 more set to open later this year.
Most times when individuals go to an urgent care, it gets them, treated more quickly and at the same time less expensive.
Both health system leaders agree that to ensure good coverage, attention needs to be paid to a mix of hospital beds, emergency services, and urgent care. Bon Secours has plans to increase its beds at the downtown hospital.
A lot of times we're at capacity, right? We are trying to be efficient in the utilization of those beds.
It recently opened an ER in Simpsonville. Prisma has a same-day surgery center in the works and an endoscopy center planned for Padewood. In North Greenville, expansion of the Travelers Rest Hospital is a response to growth there.
We're seeing upwards of 50 patients a day.
At Prisma, St. Francis, and Tribe 513, the future is always front and center.
I think we can't grow fast enough, but at the same time, we don't want to grow too fast and lose what we feel like makes us different.
And so the planning never ends.
Sometimes medical care begins when first responders get calls for help. And as more people move into Greenville County, that increases the need for more EMS workers, as well as more law enforcement officers and more firefighters. Rashad Williams speaks with the leaders tasked with addressing those needs every day.
I started here in 1997, and Greenville obviously is not what it is today.
Greenville Chief of Police Howie Thompson has had a front row seat to Greenville's growth over the years.
The secret about Greenville's out.
As the city continues to grow in the ranks, so does the number of people who rely on law enforcement and first responders.
Last year in 2023, we answered over 93,000 calls. That was an increase of about 7% over 2022.
The Greenville Police Department employs more than 200 officers.
So I have the 4 zones that we are policing and the Central Business District, and we divide up the zones based on call volume, and so I could see us shifting that. We might have to add a zone.
With more tires on the asphalt and more foot traffic for festivals and gatherings.
Last year, the police department worked over 500 special events.
The need for a uniformed presence has only increased as visitors flock to the city.
Talking to people, you get to spend more time with them and realize they're not born and raised, maybe here in Greenville, South Carolina. And it just adds a different perspective to how many people do move here.
Hobart Lewis has served as sheriff in Greenville County for 4 years with 20 years in law enforcement.
From 2020 to where we are now at the beginning of 2024, our solvability rates are up, our murders are down, violent crimes are down this year.
He says the budget does not always match the growth in population and demand for law enforcement.
In the last 6 or 8 years seem to kind of be the biggest growth spurt that I've seen.
Making it tough at times to add positions. Another issue.
We have more missing persons than we've ever had.
Sheriff Lewis created a new missing persons unit where search and rescue efforts are conducted immediately.
Whether it's a runaway or Alzheimer's.
Out of 179 missing persons last year, all were found. The Greenville Fire Department is also filling Greenville's demand for services.
Last year we responded to over 14,000 calls.
Chief Brian Horton says the 162-person department has seen about a 9% increase in calls since the height of the pandemic. 2021, more than 12,000. 2022, more than 13,000. 2023, more than 14,000.
We run more medical now. It's probably our largest call volume is medical. Behind that's MVAs, motor vehicle accidents.
Greenville sits at an incredibly busy connecting corridor between Charlotte and Atlanta.
It's not just people that live here and visit here, but we protect 2 major interstates.
Chief Horton says as more people call Greenville home, the department is actively working to meet the national standard of a 4-minute response time.
If you draw a circle, the 4 minutes is a huge area, but the road infrastructure also affects how you get to those areas.
The department is constantly looking to renovate old fire stations while figuring out where more are needed based on call volume. Expansion is also happening for the police department. PD will soon be moving into this new facility on Halton Road, adapting and expanding as each group works to keep Greenville safe.
One recruiting tactic that's worked well for Greenville Fire is a new pay structure, making them among the best paid firefighters in South Carolina.
Still to come on Chronicle.
Greenville is a great place to start a business, to move your business, to grow your business.
Why Greenville's proven it's an ideal location for more and more companies to move and expand.
Businesses are finding that Greenville County is a profitable place to call home. Gabrielle Komorowski looks at how companies, from small entrepreneurs to large manufacturers, are finding a backbone of support in Greenville.
We're here to make this announcement. This is an exciting day for South Carolina, 500 fantastic jobs, and especially for Greenville.
2024 has already seen major economic development announcements in Greenville County.
Things are just happening.
Battery manufacturing company Enersys will build a facility in southern Greenville County, a $500 million investment, bringing about 500 jobs. And Tesla has announced it's opening its first South Carolina facility in Greenville County. It will be a regional distribution center in Fountain Inn.
There was stiff competition for that Tesla distribution center. Commerce continue to roll.
But Carlos Phillips, president and CEO of the Greenville Chamber, says Greenville County has something special to offer.
I'll guarantee you, one of their top reasons for locating here in Greenville will be access to talent. People who are equipped with the skills to perform the jobs, and not just the jobs of today, but most organizations are already preparing for the jobs of tomorrow.
Phillips points to the area's strong education system.
So they're developing the talent, and a lot of that talent is staying. They're not moving.
All of us have a stake in how the company performs and grows.
Aaron Thompson moved his family to the area for his job as vice president of commercial construction company Messer.
I think from a quality of life perspective, certainly as a Midwesterner, I really appreciate the more moderate climate. And
Messer opened a new regional office in Greenville last year and has tapped into the local talent pool.
This area is known for its strong workforce, which is a real benefit as we grow our team.
Talent is part of Greenville County's legacy.
There's been a spirit of cooperation and work by people in this town, in this county, for a long time. And I tell you, it has really made a big difference.
The textile industry was once the backbone of Greenville. Many of these historic brick buildings have now been transformed into loft apartments or offices.
We're not a one-trick pony anymore. We remain strong in manufacturing and advanced assembly, but there's a lot more going on in Greenville.
Census data shows a 175% increase in business licenses in Greenville County just in the past 10 years.
They see a business climate and a tax structure that's favorable for business success.
And Carlos Phillips calls many of these businesses small but mighty, telling us 95% of the businesses located in Greenville County have fewer than 50 employees.
You've been here 9 years.
We have.
Ann Mayer owns Splash on Main and has 3 full-time and 3 part-time employees, selling clothes, swimwear, and gifts in Greenville's West End.
How has the neighborhood changed?
It's changed a lot.
She says it's the small businesses that make Greenville so special.
I think Greenville's done a wonderful job of trying to keep that mom and pop feel. And so obviously the more customers we have, the longer we can stay.
The website Cersei makes it their business to showcase local small businesses.
Greenville's a place where people can take a chance and people can be innovative, people can be empowered. There's so much opportunity here in Greenville. It goes back to community. You know, we're all supporting each other as a community.
The Greenville Chamber tells us there are more than 60 local organizations providing support and guidance for small businesses. More are coming. Greenville County is projected to add 86,000 new jobs by the year 2040.
Greenville is winning, and we're working on the right things to ensure that we grow in the right way.
Keeping Greenville a great place to work and live.
People who live in Greenville get to enjoy one of the greatest natural resources in the world, the water. And Carol Clark shows us how providing the basic utilities like water and energy are key to future growth. And the leaders in these sectors say they're ready.
This is the only way most of us can see 2 of Greenville's water sources.
There is no human activity except for maintenance on those watersheds.
The reservoirs at Table Rock and North Saluda are surrounded by land owned by the utility, land carefully guarded.
We don't allow hunting, biking, hiking, so the water in those lakes is pristine.
The utility pulls water too from another source.
We try to pull from Kiowee because the most amazing thing happens. Kiowee recharges every night. The number 1 loss at Kiowee is evaporation.
Deb Sofield says to deal with growth, Greenville Water has 57 projects in play right now at a price tag of $30 million.
Believe it or not, we have set a goal for water for the next 100 years.
Among those projects, replacing pipe, over 200 miles of it, with ductile iron.
Because it lasts a lot longer. It'll be there when you and I are long gone.
And Greenville Water doesn't want to lose its prized product. It's investing in a sky-high detection system.
It's the same satellite they use to find water on Mars. And it can detect the difference between treated water, raw water, and sewage. So what it does is it scans our whole county.
All of this planning pays off.
Through our projections, we've got enough water through the mid-2100s at those growth rates.
Duke Energy spends a lot of time planning too.
South Carolina was the fastest growing state by population in the nation in 2023.
And when it comes to supplying that growth,
it means not putting all of your eggs in one basket.
Duke takes an all-of-the-above approach.
It means our proven workhorse nuclear plants continuing to provide power 24/7. It's our existing high-tech, highly efficient natural gas plants doing the same, and exploring new ways to put both technologies, new additional technologies onto our power grid.
Technologies like solar power and the batteries to store what they produce, and the power of water.
Bad Creek is a fantastic asset. We call it the marble in the mountain.
If power is needed, water from a reservoir is pumped through the plant to Lake Jocassee. If power is not needed, that water is pumped back up to storage.
It's basically the largest battery we have on our system.
All those sources to provide light at the flip of a switch. Lakes and streams to provide water at the turn of a faucet. Both utilities say they're prepared for years to come.
Jeff Boss says Greenville is one of only 3 water systems in the entire country that owns the land completely around its watershed. The other 2 in New York and Seattle. Duke Energy says it's paying attention to its carbon footprint too. It no longer operates coal power plants in South Carolina.
Next on Chronicle, growing Greenville.
I'm very excited about the future, what's going on. I'm very optimistic of kind of what the population growth.
How the area has welcomed a rapid growth of the Hispanic population and the resources in place for an inclusive culture.
Over the years, Greenville County's Hispanic community has been one of the fastest growing in the nation, and Latinos are predicted to become the largest local minority within the next decade and a half. Stephanie Trotter shows us how the diversity in Greenville's population contributes to the quality of the culture.
A Latin beat is pulsing across Greenville County. The Hispanic community has grown from 3,000 in the early 90s to an estimated 60,000 today. Ramon Nieves Lugo moved here as a teen when there were few.
I'm very optimistic.
The Hispanic marketing consultant sees the growth in little ways, like finding his favorite Puerto Rican bread in an American store.
That just shows you just the influence the community is having, because a corporation that big, putting a supermarket that big and saying, oh, we want to have these type of products.
Food, fashion, music, and art, all rich Hispanic contributions to life in Greenville. Half the Latino community is now born here. The other half immigrates from 17 different countries. Gisela Eljak remembers how hard it was moving to the upstate.
Okay, so now I have to start all over. Now I have to learn a new language, a new culture, a new way of living. And also I'm meeting people from all over not only the United States, but the world.
The Hispanic Alliance works to link Latinos with each other, as well as educational, legal, financial, and health services.
It's incredibly isolating, and then you get further isolated just because the language is new and foreign, and no matter where you turn, you face this giant obstacle.
Sergeant Gilberto Franco is one of 2 of the highest-ranking Hispanic officers with Greenville PD. He says every shift now includes a couple of cops who speak Spanish.
When we come into contact with people, whether it's through a traffic stop or they call for help, we want to make sure that we are able to understand the totality of what's going on with them and how we can better assist them.
When Franco moved here at age 7, he was in Greenville County Schools' first ESL classes. Today, more than 11,000 boys and girls in the public school system are Latino. More and more Hispanic people are also accessing Prisma Health's interpretation services. Use increased 70% last year from the year before, but the Alliance says cost and basic lack of awareness of available programs prevent routine care.
I want to change that picture, maybe do a picture of the family here.
Lazaro and Shadid Bontoto grew up in Miami, but chose to build their restaurant empire here.
It caught us, from day one. We were just infatuated with the place and fell in love with it.
They've opened Tropical Grills, Tipsy Tacos, and now the Pasta Project with a strong work ethic. They say courses through the community. The Alliance reports the most common jobs for Latino people include food service, construction, and manufacturing. Laz takes pride in helping first, second, and even third-generation immigrants get established.
I think our responsibility is to really help others. We've had people that have worked with us and just showing them that it's possible and seeing them create their businesses and empower them to go out and do what we've done.
He says he's super proud of his Cuban roots and parents' sacrifice.
They came to a country that opened their arms and loved them and allowed them in and allowed them to do great things, and we're just picking up on what they left off.
Adding vibrant color to the American dream.
South Carolina's Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is headquartered in Greenville, with 600 member businesses from throughout the state.
But it's in our hands to decide what we do to balance the growth.
The plans in place to ensure Greenville grows responsibly. ahead on Chronicle.
Growth is a wonderful challenge that many areas of the country would welcome. And Greenvillians have made it clear to leadership that their #1 concern moving forward is managing the growth to maintain their quality of life.
3, 2, 1.
With Greenville's explosive growth, in the future, where do the children play?
But it's in our hands to decide what we do to balance the growth.
Keeping the green in Greenville is a top priority in the city's 2040 plan. Created with citizen input, Mayor Knox White says the goal is to preserve as much as 35% of the city's remaining vacant land as open space or parkland.
That's why we've been so attentive lately to expanding the Swamp Rabbit Trail in the city, creating more green space in parks, working with the parks we have in our neighborhoods, for reinvesting in neighborhood parks.
While that may seem counterintuitive for a booming area, County Councilman Butch Kervin says Greenville learned long ago that growth is best fueled by a commitment to quality of life for the citizens.
And we want to make sure that the amenities are there in parks and recreation to support the growing needs of our population.
This historic 52-acre green space between Simpsonville and Five Forks will soon become Greenville County's first park in 15 years. People will be able to enjoy the open space, the forest, and the nature trails.
The slave cabin is the interior section of this barn. The sides of the barn were added much later.
And also the buildings here at Oakland Plantation will be preserved, giving future generations of Greenvillians an opportunity to see firsthand just how people lived in the 1800s.
Saving places like Oakland Plantation helps preserve the character of our community because it allows us to take a look at where we've been and think about where we're going.
Greenville County and City have become really strategic about preservation and land use.
Go vertical, not horizontal.
A new county office building is a prime example of how infill development, which prioritizes building on an existing site, is the game plan of the future.
This particular project at County Square is going to be transformative for Greenville.
In the mid-1980s, an old shopping mall on 40 acres adjacent to downtown was repurposed to house Greenville County services. For 35 years, this prime real estate produced zero taxes. Now, a unique public-private partnership is transforming the blighted and underutilized space, beginning with this new county administrative building.
The county building itself will be the cornerstone of all the future development that will be paid for with land sales and taxes generated.
That revenue will come from the retail, residential, and restaurants planned for this site.
And the roadway here will be widened.
County Administrator Joe Cornell keeps an eye on the daily progress from his new corner office.
It's kind of the financial future for the county because we took basically an underperforming asset and now we're converting it to a high-performing asset.
And Cornell is pleased with the projected return on investment.
But right now it looks like it could generate approximately $750 million in revenue on a $200 million investment, which is pretty good.
Greenville citizens identified infill projects as being a priority for the future in the county's Imagine Greenville 10-year plan. That kind of innovation is in Greenville's DNA.
And you can see it in the attitude and the ambition of people here to create new things, do things differently.
And leadership is counting on that entrepreneurial spirit to continue the course for the future.
And get us really right for everyone.
In the long-range plans for both the county and the city, citizens were loud and clear in saying that maintaining the culture and quality of life is their #1 goal.
It's more important than ever that at the end of the day, it's about the experience you have of living in Greenville, and that's what we want to keep.
But Mayor White says it's a challenge to hang on to Greenville's culture of kindness that many outsiders found so attractive, especially with the growing traffic jams.
You didn't hear people blowing the horn. Now you hear people blowing the horn all the time. Okay, they didn't come from South Carolina. They didn't come from Greenville, because we don't blow the horn in the South, except to say, hi Jane, how are you?
So welcome to Greenville. Stay off the horn.
Man, how you feeling? Good.
Speak to strangers. Enjoy all of the green around Greenville, and everyone can enjoy a bright and prosperous future together. Thank you for joining us for Chronicle Growing Greenville. Yes, there are challenges that do come with a growing community, but it's comforting to learn that there are solid plans in place to grow responsibly and with intent. I'm Jane Rovelo. Good night.